name's Chris, and welcome to A World Without Malaria. In this, the first presentation of the series, we'll provide some background information about malaria. Understanding the basics about malaria is an important step towards reducing its terrible impact. Make sure you've downloaded the manual that goes with this training because it contains extra information not mentioned in the video. And it's a great place to take notes and record your thoughts as you progress through the course. Oh yeah, and finally, just a small tip. You might like to activate subtitles if that's helpful to you. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Maaike. It's great that you're joining this session on a background to malaria. Did you know that there's only one way you can catch malaria? Malaria comes from parasites that are injected into a person through the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. If you have malaria, you've been bitten by this female mosquito and been infected by her with malaria parasites. Even though some illnesses can have an underlying psychological or emotional cause, malaria isn't one of them. Malaria doesn't come from eating bad bananas, or it doesn't come because of a belief in karma or as a consequence from a previous life. It also doesn't come because of a curse or from drinking bad water or eating bad food. A person gets malaria because they have been bitten by a malaria-infected female Anopheles mosquito. This is the only way. There are many types of mosquitoes, and we discussed them more in Chapter 2, but it's good to know that the Anopheles mosquito is different to other mosquitoes and is easy to identify. It rests its body on an angle of 45 degrees, and other mosquitoes rest more or less level to the surface that they are on. The female Anopheles mosquito needs blood in order to make her eggs. Once she is born, she mates only once with a male mosquito and stores enough sperm to cover her lifespan. After her first blood meal, she begins to make eggs. Both male and female Anopheles mosquitoes rest in shaded places during the day and feed on flower nectar or juice from decaying fruit for energy. Male Anopheles mosquitoes do not bite. Unlike the female, they don't need blood as part of their diet. A female Anopheles mosquito gets infected with malaria parasites by biting a person who already has malaria parasites in their blood. When the female Anopheles mosquito sucks up the blood from an infected person, the parasites in the human blood pass into the female mosquito and infect her. The parasites multiply into very large numbers in her stomach, and after that, the parasites migrate to the mosquito's salivary glands. This means that when the mosquito bites another person, the parasites are passed on to that new person through the infected mosquito bite. In short, that means that an uninfected mosquito becomes infected with malaria by biting a person who already has malaria parasites in their blood. After being infected, the mosquito then passes on the parasites to other people that it bites, and the cycle continues. When a female mosquito bites, she injects a tiny bit of her saliva into the flesh of the person she is biting. The mosquito saliva acts like an oil, making things smooth, and this helps it prick deeper into the skin. Think about this. The amount of saliva a person can spit is tiny, just a few milliliters. Since mosquitoes are much smaller than humans, it's easy to understand that the amount of saliva a mosquito has is incredibly minute. So small, in fact, that we can't even see it. What is amazing is the parasites that cause malaria are actually in the mosquito's saliva, and it's those parasites that enter into the human's blood when the mosquito bites. On entering the bloodstream, some parasites are destroyed by our immune system. The rest flow on into the liver. They invade the liver cells, and each parasite multiplies up to 30,000 times. At this stage, whilst the parasites are in the liver, the person does not even know that they have malaria. Generally speaking, after 7 to 30 days, depending on the type of malaria, the parasites burst out of the liver and thousands of them flow into the blood. They attack and enter the person's red blood cells. After leaving the liver and entering the bloodstream, the parasites invade the red blood cells. They eat the cell from the inside out. They continue to multiply another 8 to 32 times. And then they break out of the red blood cells and start to attack even more red blood cells. As the new parasites re-enter the bloodstream, they release toxins, and this brings on the chills and the fever that people with malaria experience. The parasites continue to attack, and they multiply in more and more red blood cells. And depending on the type of malaria, the time taken from parasites entering a red blood cell to the release of new parasites and toxins is 24 to 48 hours. The parasites continue to breed and destroy red blood cells, and if this is not stopped, a person can die from the disease. We will discuss the 5 types of malaria that infect humans more in chapter 3, but it is worth noting that in 2 species of malaria, a few parasites entering the liver do not initially multiply. Instead, they remain dormant in the liver, and months or even years later can revive and multiply to start a new malaria attack. Malaria in a child is a medical emergency. Why? Well, it's quite logical. Infants and children are much smaller than adults, and the amount of blood in a child's body is significantly less than in an adult. Children become ill with malaria much quicker than an adult, because they have fewer red blood cells for the parasites to infect and destroy. Death can occur sooner in children, and therefore it is critical to have children tested and treated as soon as malaria is suspected. Let me say this again. Malaria in a child is a medical emergency. Malaria can be referred to in 2 ways. The first is uncomplicated malaria, and the second is complicated, or it is sometimes called severe malaria. In this series, we will generally use the term severe malaria. When a person has uncomplicated malaria, they will complain of fever, chills, headache, and joint pain. They may have a dry cough, nausea, and vomiting. They will have a sequence of fever attacks that last for about 6 to 10 hours. Patients are left with tiredness until the next attack. During the clinical exam, the medic or doctor sometimes finds anemia, especially among the children. We talk about uncomplicated malaria in more detail in chapter 4, and we discuss anemia in chapter 5, so be sure to watch these chapters. Severe malaria is more dangerous and can be caused by any of the species of malaria parasites overwhelming the body. Most commonly, however, PF malaria is the main cause of severe malaria because of the particular effect it has on the red blood cells. People with severe malaria can become unconscious, especially if the malaria is affecting the brain. It is very important to understand severe malaria, so we will discuss it more fully and give special attention to it in chapter 8. For now, let's review some of the main points we have discussed in this video. Malaria comes from the parasites that are injected into a person's bloodstream through the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. Remember? They multiply and transmit from mosquito to human and back again. And it is these parasites that affect our bodies, make us sick, and can even kill us. Now, we also looked at how the amount of blood you have in your body determines how quickly malaria can make you sick or kill you. We saw that malaria in children is a medical emergency because they have less blood and therefore fewer red blood cells than an adult. And then we briefly looked at how malaria takes 2 forms. The first is uncomplicated malaria and the second is called severe malaria. I hope you found this short video helpful, and be sure to refer to the Buzzov manual for more details, and I look forward to seeing you in another session. Bye for now.